Hello, everybody. Thanks for joining me. I am so thrilled today to have on our Facebook page the auction packages team. We've got Kareth and we've got Shay. Hi, ladies.
Hi, how are you today?
Good morning, good afternoon.
Wonderful. And they have a third person, Michelle. She couldn't make it here with us today, but we still love her too. So thank you for joining us. I really appreciate you taking the time to spend some time with our audience. I know there's always questions about auction packages and travel packages and all sorts of things like that. And they ask us, but we don't have the answers, but you do. So this is your opportunity to ask these wonderful ladies any questions that you have about auction packages. And they've prepared 6 tips in 16 minutes. Don't worry, I'm not going to count them down. I'm not going to put a clock on them, but I'm thrilled that they've joined us today. Let me show you what we've got here. I've invited them because I know you've seen and heard all sorts of auctions on our auction team talk page or our page, and you see all these amazing travel packages and you're like, how the heck did they get that? And the answer is by working with fabulous people like Kareth and Shay. And Kareth and Shay are both representatives of the auction packages, but they also have philanthropy in their hearts. So it's the perfect combination. And for anybody that is new to Auctria, we've been around for 10 years and we've helped groups raise over $300 million in that time. And it's everything ranging from schools to the arts to health and welfare, animal advocacies, you name it. And it's come through the Auctria platform. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and turn everything over to Kareth.
Thank you, Lori, and thanks for everyone who may be joining today. I'm really thrilled to be here because it's very easy for me to talk about 2 things that I love, which is building a better world, and being a part of the fundraising industry for over 15 years, and travel. I'm someone who's really lucky. I've traveled to over 54 countries, so a lot of experience there too. It's very important for me to share, as Lori touched upon, that the team at Auction Packages, we really come into the industry not just representing travel packages. Most of us do have a nonprofit background. I have been an executive director with a nonprofit, and so I really do understand from the other side of the table and the challenges that organizations face, particularly in times of things like a pandemic. Other than that, our team really volunteers a lot of their own personal time. I'm very devoted to my own missions, be the environment and animal rights. So with that, it's really a well-rounded team that tries to approach this in a strategic way to ultimately help our clients raise net revenue dollars. And we have the background and the skill to kind of help navigate that, because each organization, while you're all challenged with raising mission dollars, you're unique. Your supporters are unique, your missions are unique, and so we really try and cater to that very specifically. So auction packages, when we think of this umbrella of travel consignment, just for anyone who isn't really sure exactly what it is, it's a risk-free, stress-free way to add some really exciting travel and unique experiences to your fundraising mission. I absolutely love travel consignment because of the fact that it is risk-free. Of course, there are always ways to make sure it works for you best. And once more, we're really always trying to drive that net revenue. So auction packages specifically, we've been around for over 12 years. We've worked with hundreds of clients nationwide. We really do offer some of the most affordable experiences that are out there when you're looking at the whole of what the services are. That does include things like a full travel concierge team that's really going to save a lot of your time on the back end. The portfolio itself offers over 200 different experiences. So you've got things domestically, internationally. If you really want to drill down, you've got a golf gala happening, you want some golf golf experiences. We've got that. We've got sporting events, concerts, Broadway, metropolitan cities, global cities. So quite a lot to offer, and really something for everyone that I like to think offers a range of price points as well that ideally will suit your budget. So that's really kind of who we are. The process of working with us, again, it's so simple. Coming from the nonprofit side, I find the relationship to be, we're really striving to make it a very supporting relationship, and really looking to save you time on the procurement side, on the fulfillment side, driving in and really trying to figure out who is in that room with you, or who is your supporter base, and selecting things that are going to excite them to support you and ultimately drive more mission dollars. So that's essentially who we are. Auction packages. And I'm going to ask Lori to just go on to the next slide, which is to get us start to think, well, how do we use travel? How do we use this idea of travel to help fundraise and raise more mission dollars? And that really can happen in a number of ways. We're creeping our way back to some sense of normalcy coming out of a pandemic. Certainly this last year, we saw a lot of organizations switch to virtual events, hybrid events, and I think that trend is continuing to some degree. And the bonuses in that were that I think some of us really experienced that we could welcome more people into our fundraising via hybrid and virtual events. And so there may always be a component of this going forward that actually never really leaves. If you can open up to more people and have them learn about your mission, I really think that's a good thing. I offer that because regardless of whether your event is a live gala in person where you've invited several hundred people and you're expecting them to be in the room with you, versus an idea if you're completely going virtual with a gala in 2021, or if you happen to be someone who's doing a blend of these two things, it doesn't necessarily matter, because the idea is that travel can be included in any of these types of events. We do help you make some tweaks and adjustments according to how you are setting up your event. But nonetheless, the statistics that we've seen are really showing that people are ready to start traveling again. I think we've all been really itching to get out there and experience something new, see something new. And so I'm very happy to say that I am seeing a lot of people getting ready to pick some great trips. So how do we do this? On the screen, you should be seeing a list of a number of ways that you can do this. You can include travel packages in live auctions. And I have to share that historically, where we do see higher end travel packages do the best is going to be in a live auction, because you've really got an auctioneer, ideally a professional benefit auctioneer, that can up talk the experiences and really kind of get that crowd going and with you. They can sell multiples, if they want to. So historically, live auctions have really done the best, I would say, in terms of delivering the highest level of net revenue. That's not to say that you can't include travel packages in these other areas. And this past year has really had me put back on my creative hat, especially from a nonprofit side, and think, how do we do this? How do we keep raising money through travel? And I think there's a lot of opportunity there, because the truth is, again, we all want to take a vacation. And it's this idea of traveling for a cause and encouraging those that support your mission to kind of do the same. So you can include things in a silent auction. Our team will guide you in the best way, again, to kind of keep a fix and a focus on net revenue. But given that this is no risk, you can offer up some great experiences in a silent auction. Our team will not advise you to select 15, 20 things for a silent auction. We really like to keep it to a very focused number. So, maybe 3 to 5, 3 to 6, and really build out a nice category. Auctria has a wonderful platform. You can frame up a specific category, traveling for good, call it something fun. That always works. And then, of course, you can pick a trip for raffles and maybe make that something like a winner's choice, where whoever wins the raffle, you work with a team like us, you give them 3 different choices, and whoever wins that raffle is going to have that nice choice in 2.5 years to pick to where they want to travel. Then there are more layered things like capital campaigns and maybe incentivizing some of those bigger donation amounts that you want to come in. I think travel and picking a really fun trip for teams that are doing crowdfunding, team building incentives, and really encouraging them along the way for runs, for walks. Hey, the team who raises the most money, we decided we're going to send you to the villa in Belize. The whole team gets to go, kind of thing. And also possibly to kick off a donation appeal. So even if you're not necessarily having a live auction and you're going to go right into a donation appeal, I have many auctioneers that I work with, and they still will advise clients and opt to have at least one fun trip to kind of get the crowd going, get them excited, talk about something that we're all looking forward to, and then kind of kick into the donation appeal. So really a number of ways that travel can be included in your year-round fundraising efforts. And some of these things like the raffle, you can have a raffle any time of year. Maybe you need to do something around Valentine's Day. You want to kind of say like, hey, we need to, send more love to the clients that we serve here at the shelter for the homeless, and pick a great trip and see if, if you can raise more money. Because imagine this, you pick a trip, the cost is $1,500, you sell 200 tickets at $25 each, you're raising a couple $1,000s above the cost. And so those are the kind of things that our team is really going to bring to you specific to travel and how you use it. I'm going to go to the next slide. And here, I was really, really excited to share what you're looking at on the screen today. We had conducted a survey to really get a lay of the land of what is happening out there post, not even 100% post-pandemic, but as we're creeping out of this pandemic. What's going on with travel? Where do people want to travel? Are they going to travel? How much would they be willing to spend on travel? And so this is a very, very recent conducted survey just in the last week. And we got a tremendous response of several hundred organizations that came back. And this is really what they shared with us. So if you're wondering what your peers are doing, what they're thinking in terms of including travel, where you see how many travel packages do you foresee including in fundraising events? This was asked over a 12-month period. So the next 12 months, and you can see that the majority of folks really fell into this kind of, which one was it? 1 to 3 packages. And then you can see your percentages. We had just about 18% of people that were actually going to use 5 or more travel packages, which is wonderful. And the 51% was the 1 to 3 packages, with 28% being about 3 to 5 packages. A lot of numbers just thrown at you. Again, the point to make here is to encourage you to really consider travel, because this is, again, information straight from your fellow peers and what we're experiencing internally with our team. Things have really picked up. We're seeing success at events where items truly are auctioning and selling. And again, this net revenue dollar idea is being delivered. So where are people wanting to travel? And actually, I want to ask a fun question, if you all wouldn't mind just dropping into the chat now. Where is your next bucket list destination? Where is your next dream vacation? Probably a bit of a tease, because if we're sitting in front of computers and dreaming of the tropics, I'm making you think of all these things now. But again, we'd really love to know who's tuned in today and where you want to go. So, and if we get any info there, maybe Lori can kind of shout 1 or 2 of those out for us and let us know what she's seeing. So,
yes, don't be bashful.
Yeah, don't be bashful.
Let's us all dream together.
Exactly. I can tell you, I mean, we have an Amalfi Coast trip that I'm desperate to take, and I think it's my next bucket list choice. I have actually been to up and down Italy, but I'm dying to go back to Amalfi. Anyway, so the regions that folks are choosing, by and large, are North America and the Caribbean. No surprise, most of us have been cooped up, through the winter. So definitely thinking of sunshine, salty water, and palm trees and cocktails. But North America also ranked really high, and we saw this curve. We predicted it some time back with the pandemic, and so we've continued to really add to our portfolio. And you're going to find a lot of great things on the Auction Packages website that will allow you to travel North America, East Coast to West Coast, North to South. In fact, we have a really fun trip called Choose Your American Adventure, and that will allow winners to pick from 10 different destinations. So they'll have this 2.5 years and they can pick from 10 different destinations. And I truly love that idea, as I think it encourages participation from folks. Maybe it's whale watching in Seattle, maybe it's golfing in Scottsdale, maybe it's Broadway lights. So a lot of choice there. Our next slide, I believe I would be handing over to my colleague, Shay, and what she's going to bring us into. When I earlier mentioned how do we include travel packages to help raise money, one thing that I specifically left off of that was this idea of sponsorship, because I knew that there was so much good information surrounding it that Shay's going to give us a few more tidbits really about how to consider sponsorship, travel packages, one and the same. So with that, take it away, Shay.
Thanks, Kara, and thank you for that wonderful overview of the potential and benefits of using consignment travel. I can tell you guys that I was a development and event fundraiser for 9 years, and consignment auction travel was a game changer for us in terms of our events and our auctions. To the extent that it almost tripled our gross income within 2 years whenever we utilized it. Having said that, it did not take long, for us to kind of realize that there is a great component to that in terms of sponsorship and being able to attract new sponsor prospects. It's such an untraditional sort of sponsorship element. It's not a table, it's not a platinum sponsor. I mean, it's really something that has a fun and entertainment element to it, and it has a lot of legs for a potential sponsor. So, having said that, in my role, I really started looking at what did that look like? What was the span of consignment pricing? And how could we put potential sponsorship packages together that we could solicit to new prospects? And I think for all of us, we need new prospects. We need new businesses in the community to embrace initiatives and missions. And so from that perspective, it really became an incredible extension to our offerings. One of the key things, that I have to mention is, the cost of consignment. I mean, we have a fabulous experience that's $995, and really that's such a unique price point for a sponsor to come into. It's not, over the top. It's comfortable. It's going to give them some visibility and engagement. You're probably going to end up with a really good future partnership with that business. And for those businesses that haven't engaged in charity fundraising from a community connection perspective, it's a really cool sort of proposal to make to businesses. So I think if we just kind of, I want to hit on, local businesses right now, as I mean, they need business. They need to get back on people's radar, especially in the community. If you can, approach those businesses and be able to give them some assets that are going to work for them. I've also found that it's a great offering for board members. I know historically in my role, we were always approaching the board members to be very supportive of our fundraising events, and you kind of run out of things and suggestions for them to do that's not going to require a lot of involvement. You can get an entire board to sponsor a consignment package, which is really cool. You could get the entire board to be a title sponsor of your auction overall. So I think there's a lot of unique opportunities, built into the whole package sponsorship realm. Getting and obtaining a presenting sponsor for your auction, not your silent auction, your live auction. It's almost an overarching sponsorship that has some, fairly heady assets associated with it. Can be very, very attractive to a bigger brand and company. And I don't know if you guys know, you can't see this on the image that's in the slide, but the example that I'm giving is Southwest Airlines was a sponsor for the entire auction for a specific event. And that in itself, created income that you would never have had. And then you kind of drill it down a little bit and you start looking at, to Kara's point earlier, you need to know who your attendees are and your guests and your supporters. What's affordable to them. You don't want to get into something that's so over the top that you're not going to get engagement. You really have to go back and kind of revisit what are comfortable price points in terms of engagement for bidding. And then once you get there, then you can kind of, structure what your packages would look like. So I think if we just move on to, the next topic, which is really, for any potential sponsor, regardless, for your event, if it's sponsoring an auction package or just sponsoring, the event in some capacity, your assets are what you want to leverage. And so historically, what I would do when I was in that role, before every event, I would kind of do an inventory of every conceivable marketing asset that we own. And it really was about, assessing the value of those. And it's really hard to do it as a dollar amount. And kind of what I would do is create a point system. But, first you just write down every asset that you have. Anything that's not nailed down and nailed down that can be sold. I mean, it's, I hate to put it that way, but it's the truth. And then assigning almost a point system to it. I mean, I would do something like, let's just say a table, the point system on that is $800. And how do I arrive at that? Because we've got to feed 10 people at a table. There's a cost impact on that. So therefore, it's an asset that can be leveraged. Facebook posts. So you bring a sponsor on and you're going to give them some Facebook posts. What's the value of that? What's the point of that? The point might be 20 points for a Facebook post. But you kind of go through all those assets and then you assign these points to it. And then it makes it really easy when when you get into developing your sponsorship packages, including your consignment packages. So, I found that to be one of the most valuable things. It makes it quick. It makes it easy. You don't have to keep reflecting back on what did I give this? What did I offer here? What did I offer there? I mean, you kind of got that structured. So, I think picking your key consignment auction packages in advance is a really smart thing to do. You can always go back and fill in, when you get closer to your event. You can start kind of seeing what your mix looks like and, where you might have to fill a gap or a category. But to kind of identify well in advance, what those really key packages are going to be, then gives you as a mission the ability to leverage that in terms of your promotions too. And you're almost going to have those when you put your prospectus together to go out and look for sponsorship. The number of levels, I mean, in terms of assignment packages, I mentioned to you, that we have a fabulous package for $9.95. We also have an absolutely mind-blowing villa in Lake Como in Italy. That's over $10,000. So I mean, there's something for everybody. You just need to know, in essence, what is your room capable of participating and engaging in. So with that, I want to move on to activation, because with any sponsorship, You know, your potential sponsor is going to be like, well, what are you going to do? You know, what are you going to do for me? You know, I have to say there was a day and time when, you know, just being tied to the mission was enough. You know, businesses and brands are looking for engagement. They're looking for an opportunity to be able to engage with your supporters, your guests, your attendees before the event, during the event, post event. And then again, you know, this is kind of where you go back and you look at all those assets that you have and how can you leverage those and how can you create these packages that are going to give these potential sponsors that level of engagement that they're looking for. Most of them know that whatever you put together is not based on an ROI in terms of return on an investment. It's almost impossible to arrive at that. Everything that you kind of do with sponsorship packages is tied to a return on impressions. So when you're, you know, going back to the assets, when you're evaluating those assets, look at those assets and see. I mean, if you've got 15,000, you know, Facebook followers, that's a pretty key asset. And to be able to leverage that in some activation for that potential sponsor is something that they're interested in, and along with any other assets that you have that have high visibility in that opportunity. You know, I think that there's so many different ways to activate. I mean, with virtual, you can almost take the format of your live event. You know, you're going to have, you know, you got to crush that into, you know, an hour and a half. But, you know, there's a lot of assets that are available on, with Auctria. I mean, there's lots of room to promote your sponsor. There's all sorts of bannerability and messaging and, you know, being able to dedicate space to them. Primarily, what they're interested in is that direct engagement, that brand interaction. Videos that are pre-recorded are awesome. They're great for virtual. They're great for hybrids and obviously lives. You know, at any time that they can give away an item that will drive traffic to their business. You know, I feel that the best candidates for these sort of sponsorships are consumer-facing businesses that again, you know, that need that traffic, and they are your best prospects to be going to right now, because again, I mean, they really need to raise the bar on getting people and traffic, you know, into their businesses. Speaking opportunities are great, and then of course any cross promotion, you know, that you can do, and I think, you know, you can arrive at all of this by just sitting down with that prospect. I mean, we do so much over the phone, we do so much over email, but if you can really get a face-to-face, whether it's with them or whether you do it through a Zoom, and kind of have a heart-to-heart conversation where you can present the mission, you know, with full transparency, that you're looking to expand your sponsorship opportunities. You have this really cool model that you think that they would be interested in, and then work with them as a partner to kind of divine what those opportunities would look like for them. So, I mean, you know, we could go on and on, you know, in terms of, you know, all those opportunities for that kind of activation. I mean, you see it all the time. I mean, go to the supermarket, if they're handing out food, that's somebody that's activating. But, you know, one thing that, you know, Lori asked is, you know, kind of, you know, a bonus or some, you know, big overarching tip. And, you know, I have one that I want to share with you. I thought about this deeply because I don't know exactly how it can pivot to virtual, but I know that it can, because you still need to have a format and an agenda for your virtual events. But I'm going to use a live event. We're all excited for live events. I mean, I don't think there's any two ways about it. But I also feel like there's always going to be this virtual piece that is going to become very popular, because from a cost perspective, it can make a lot of sense depending on where you are in your fundraising program. But I want to share with you something that, again, I'm going to go back to my previous life as a development fundraiser. And historically, with our gala, I'm going to use our gala for an example. For many years, they would do the live auction first, and then they would do the appeal, and then the entertainment. And it would, that would be kind of it. And we started to really kind of look at that model a little bit and experimented with flipping things a little. And where we kind of ended up is, what if we do the ask first? And everybody uses different terms for, their appeals and their asks. But if you do, the theory became, when you do the ask first, you have the entire attention of the room. And everybody, and this is why people are there. At the end of the day, this is truly why they're there. They're there to give what they can, and to really work that ask, that initial ask, get entire room involvement, and then move into your auction. In the case of a live auction, and I mean, with live auctions now today, they're a form of entertainment, unto themselves. And if you're really working it, you're bringing in every visceral aspect of it that you can. You want video, you want music, you want anything and everything that's going to make people feel like they're, short of having a Broadway experience in the room. And you can do that. And good auctioneers can make that happen. So, where it used to be, you kind of lose a lot of the room when it came to the live auction, because there's only a certain percentage of people in the room that are ever going to really engage, in a bidding warfare over something. But if you have things at the right price point, you can do that. And I think, and for sure, I know that if you get these packages sponsored, they're paid for. So you can take that, whatever that reserve is, off the table, because now you're just dealing now with complete net income. Take that off the table, and you can bring the level of the opening bid down to a point where it becomes really comfortable for just about anybody to raise their paddle or click the button. And, it may get to a point where it's going to, be out of their zone, but it's going to go into somebody else's zone. So, I think the whole live auction concept is changed dramatically. It's become a really exciting, integral part of an event. So having said that, what's kind of going on behind the scenes, and I know with Auctria, and even if you have someone that's kind of keeping track of what's going on, by then you kind of know what the number is for that initial ask that you made. You've got a sense of what that number is. You probably got a really good sense of where your silent auction is at, because all this stuff is being calculated, and somebody better be looking at it and knowing, because what you're doing now is kind of assessing, where you are from what's our goal, what's our gap. So I call this gap to goal. And this is where these sort of three components fall into place, because now you know what you just did with your live auction. So now you got a pretty good sense of exactly where you are in your night, and probably from other profit centers that you set up. You might have wheel spinning and raffle ticket sales. Kind of use that time during the live auction to collectively get that number together. And when that live auction is over, you go back and sweep the room one more time. And that's the appeal. That's the close. That's the coup de grace of this whole thing, is that we have a $50,000 gap and we need to close that now. And anything that you can give us to help us close that gap. And anytime there's a thermometer, or anytime there's an opportunity to stream something across the bottom that lets people know where that is, I can tell you that 8 out of 10 times you're gonna meet that goal, or you're gonna get really, really close to it. And it's a great way to end the event, because then you can really talk to, look what we did, look what you did. And then, then you move off to entertainment. Or in this case, I hand it back to Kareth because it's all about relationships and partnerships. And Kara's got some great tips on that as well. So I'm going to hand it over to her, but I want to thank you all. I'm sure you all have a million tips of your own. We would love to hear them because we'd like to share with our clients, what's working for everybody. So please, reach out to us, and we'll have a great, exploratory conversation exchange. And Kara's going to tell you about, building touch points and how important they are. Thank you.
Thanks, Shay. I feel like, Lori, we need to change the title here. I think it's 26 tips. Is that better?
Bonus,
But
bonus,
there's
bonus,
so
bonus.
much good information there. I feel like I took my own notes, and just for the record, I want my personal gap to be known. It's in my vacation schedule.
I want to know if we're 16 minutes and under.
But yes, thank you for the lead in, Shay, and to everyone who's still with us. It is always about the relationship. We're throwing a lot of great ideas at you, but ultimately we know that fundamentally the most important thing we can do is develop relationships, and that goes right to choosing a brilliant mobile partner like Auctria and working with someone delightful like Lori. That's a relationship. Choose a great consignment company. Work with somebody like Shay or myself, who knows more than is very tuned into what your needs may be, short of just travel packages. And then again, that most important relationship is the one that you have with your supporters and your donors. So I just kind of thought some time ago that there's a couple things in our lives that are absolutely going to pull on the heartstrings. They're going to move us into places of emotion. And these two things, again, they happen to be philanthropy / fundraising, being devoted to a particular mission, and in my mind, travel. And to be able to keep the heartstring connection between these two things ultimately creates another opportunity for you to get in there and really build a relationship with your supporters and your donors at times of the year when you are not necessarily asking for a donation, or you're not necessarily asking for something. So working with a team like Auction Packages, we can actually let you know, hey, your supporters are now actually traveling. They're taking that great trip to Italy, or they're headed to Napa. I think that that's a brilliant opportunity for an organization to call them up, wish them a bon voyage. If it happens to be a tropical destination place, maybe you really send them a fun package of sunscreen, some silly sunglasses, things like that. But these touch points that are getting created, again, when you're not necessarily having to go to them and asking for something. Furthermore to that, get them equally invested in the mission throughout the year so that they're thinking of you. You can certainly, we can ask a hotel to leave a little note in one of your supporters' rooms, or ask your supporters to take photographs and to tag your organization, to tag the mission, to put it on their social media to help kind of further pump it out. You then, obviously, using your own social media, to pump this out once more. But again, seeing people enjoying themselves, enjoying life, having fun, traveling for a cause, these are all really great opportunities to reconnect with your supporter base at as said, other times throughout the year. So I'm going to move on to the next slide, which is considered kind of the bonus slide here. And I put this in here because early on when I offered, how do you raise money with travel packages? One of those bullet points was a raffle. And then another one was a buy now. And so what you're seeing on the screen right now is a perfect representation of driving net revenue dollars through what's called a buy now. You can put buy nows in the Auctria platform. That's just selling multiples of them at a flat price. And the $9.95 $995 trip that's been referenced once or twice already is in fact the trip that this model was based on. How to help you raise $7,000 net revenue by selling multiples of just one trip. So auction packages is truly going to get behind your mission as much as we can. So the strategy here was to, if our clients were able to sell 5 amazing luxury trips to Mexico at $1,995, they would be raising $1,000 every time they sold one of those trips, and then auction packages would further get behind the mission and chuck in that 6th trip absolutely free. So you're talking about another $2,000 bringing you to this lucky $7,000 net revenue. Now, this is just a strategy that I kind of came up with because of my own background as a development director. But you could change these numbers around. If you thought these trips could be sold at a flat buy now of $2,500, you'd be raising even more. The takeaway here is that there's a number of ways to kind of gamify, make travel more fun. Calling something this like the Lucky 7 giveaway, that was me speaking to you as an organization. The Lucky 7 is raising $7,000 net. What's to say that you can't call it the Lucky 6 and you attach the Lucky 6 to a very specific mission? Hey, Lucky 6, we need you to help us raise X amount of money. All the money is going towards, the new playground for the school, whatever it may be. But attaching it to a mission, making it fun, making it a really great price that's very desirable and too tempting to pass up is a great way to utilize and include buy nows. So that being said, that was the message, that this is available to anyone who's tuned in, anyone who happens to hear this at a later time. This will be available through the 2021 year. And again, I've had clients that have successfully done this. They've raised $14,000, $15,000 net revenue, just the one trip. So I encourage you to give our team a call, learn more about things like this, learn more about these specific travels that we have, and really kind of pick our brain and let us take the journey with you to help you raise more. I'm happy to do so. I want to thank Lori so much for inviting us today, and the Auctria team. They are brilliant to work with. I'm really happy to introduce them to our clients. So much thanks to you, Lori. You are a star continuously. Bigger thanks is to anyone who's tuned in and is working really, really hard, trying to raise mission dollars, trying to improve the world in your lane. Keep going. I know it's hard work sometimes, but it's so needed. You're valued, and we really, really appreciate everything that you do. So that's me, Kareth with Auction Packages. I think Lori's got our info up, and so I'll hand it back to Lori to close us out. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Ladies, thank you. So many times this comes up on our auction team talk page, and it comes up in some of our chats and our demos, and it's so great to have both of you here on the line with us. I'm sure there'll be some messages that pop in. So I put up there how to contact the Auction Packages team. Of course, if you're watching us on Facebook, that's the easiest way to get in touch. They're tagged on all this information. And then for Auctria ourselves, we are on Facebook, we are on Twitter, and there's on our Twitter page, a lot of people will tag us on their auction, so we'll retweet them out. There's definitely 2 sets of messages going out on either one. So I suggest if you're on that. And then if you are not watching us on our auction team talk page, I invite you to join this group. It is the nicest group on Facebook. Ladies like this hang out on there. They answer questions. There's auctioneers, there's event planners, the Auctria team. But the best part is it's the heroes that are on there. There's over 500 groups that are fundraising experts or fundraising auction team members, fundraising producers, developers, you name it, it's on there. And they're all beautiful, and they share a lot of their stuff. And there's a lot of nice back and forth going on. So it is a pleasure to have both of you on this conversation with us. And I know that this will continue off the air also. So once again, Kareth and Shay, thank you so much for your time.
Thanks, Lori.
Thanks, Lori. Thanks, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
I hope
Take
all
care.
your bids soar and you crush your fundraising goals.
Yeah.
Yes. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.